So, did you guys know that the partnership entity is one of the shortest lived entities? And what do I mean by that? Essentially, that means that partnerships usually die before any other entity type. So tonight, in our 15 minutes of fire, we're going to talk about this, and we'll talk about why partnerships don't make it and give you some of the tools and information to be the exception and not the rule. So before we get started, I just want to let you all know that I do have a strategy intensive session scheduled for January 7th. We're going to be doing a strategy intensive from 10 to 4 on January 7th. I think we have like 4 spots left. So if you are interested in participating in that, I will put the link in the comments after this video. So just to invite you to that if you are interested. And for those of you who may or may not know me or who I am, I'm Bernadette L. Harris. I'm an award-winning 20-plus year accountant specializing in keeping small business in business. Clients come to me when they are ready and committed to grow. My services include bookkeeping, CFO services, and when needed, forensic accounting is where I investigate fraud. You can learn more about my services and how to partner with me at my website at the BTB Advisory Firm.com. So let's jump in because I have a lot of information for you guys tonight to hopefully, again, help with this. Now, I see partnerships fail so much because they just don't have some of the very essential things that are necessary to make a partnership last. And a partnership is just like any other relationship, whether it's a friendship, whether it's a courtship, if it's a boyfriend, girlfriend, lady friend, man friend, marriage. It is a relationship that requires some of the same things that it takes to make those relationships work. Those are some of the same things that are required to make a partnership work. So one of the things that I tell people who are considering partnerships or considering going into business with someone else, the first thing that I always ask them is, why do you want to go into business with this person, right? Why do you want to partner with this person, whether it is a spouse, a sibling, a friend, or just somebody that you just met? Why? And there should be a reason why you want to partner with this person. I essentially tell people, don't partner with somebody who doesn't bring, the person that you partner with, they should bring something to the table that you don't have. So they should bring something to the table that you don't have and something that you need. So they have something that you don't have, they have something that you need. And that's when you make a good partner. If you all are the same in business, that don't work. I don't think it really works in relationships either, but that's another story. So when you're thinking about partnership, you want to think about, why do I want to partner with this person? What does this person bring to the table? What do you bring to the table? And make sure that you have complementary skills when it comes to partnering, right? So some of the reasons why partnerships don't work, we'll talk about them for a minute. So these are in no particular order. This is just what I have written down in my notes. So one of the first reasons why partnerships don't work is poor management team. So when I say poor management team, it's usually because the people who are running the business don't have the skills necessary to run the business, or the person that's in charge is probably not skilled to be in charge, right? So you have somebody that is running the show, but they don't know anything about the show. And sometimes it's ego, usually is ego, right? That causes people to put themselves in positions that they're really not prepared to be in. So partnerships fail because of a poor management team. Another reason why partnerships fail is a lack of finances. And a lot of times people think that, sometimes they say 2 heads are better than one. 2 people combining their finances into a business is better than one. But when it's not equal And equal doesn't always mean that I'm a 50-50 partner, so I put in 50,000, you got to put in 50,000. But equal does mean that, okay, I may put in more money, but you may put in more time. And so making sure that there is some equality when it comes to what the partners actually contribute. And usually those are reasons why the business partnership doesn't work, because there's either a lack of finances or it's unequal as to who put in what. Then this one is a big one. Partnerships don't make it because they don't have partnership agreements. And the partnership agreement is so important. So much so that when I work with a business, if somebody has a partnership, if they don't have a partnership agreement, I'm not taking them on as a client. Because a partnership agreement is one of the most important documents that you can have in your business. Think of it it's kind of like a prenup in a marriage, but more. Because the partnership agreement, in my opinion, is the document that says what we gonna do while we still in love, right? So we're in that love phase. We love each other. We think that this is a great idea. We got the best business idea. Let's document who's gonna do what. Who's going to do what? Who's going to be responsible for what? Who's going to contribute what? How are we going to split the profits? How are we going to split the losses? Who's going to be on the bank accounts? How do we handle adding a new partner, right? How do we handle if a partner wants to leave? How do we handle if a partner dies? And this is real important, right? So if you are in a partnership, you don't have a partnership agreement, and let's just say it's two of you. You're in a partnership, you and your partner dies. You don't have a partnership agreement. Guess what? Now you are now in business with this person's spouse that you don't even like or know, right? And so it is so important that you have this partnership agreement, this document that says, how we gonna handle all of this? How are we gonna do this? How is it gonna go down, right? And it's really important to make sure that you have these documents up front when you first start the business, because once you get into the things, it's really hard to go back and address those kind of things. I have horror stories for days, partnerships that ended and they ended on bad terms. I had a partnership that ended and they didn't have a partnership agreement. They thought that they didn't have enough money. They couldn't afford to hire an attorney to draft their partnership agreement when they got together. So they had like a little handshake on what are some of the things that they agreed on, but it wasn't in writing. It wasn't in writing, and things started to go south. A lot of lack of communication, and one of the partners just one day just went to the bank and withdrew like $20,000 from the bank account. And because both partners were on the bank account and there was no document that said something to the effect of any withdrawals over a certain amount needs to be approved by both partners, they didn't have any kind of documentation like that. And so when that partner went and just took money out, it was fine. It wasn't anything. It wasn't a violation because there was no partnership agreement. So real important to make sure that you have those things documented. Another reason why partnerships don't make it is because of sometimes people get into business for the wrong reasons. Like you have a personal relationship with this person, and just because you have a personal relationship with the person, that is the reason why you decide that you want to be in business with this person. And sometimes it works, but sometimes it doesn't. And when it doesn't work, you end up ruining that personal relationship. So if it's a friendship, if it's a marriage, if it's a sibling or familiar relationship, those kind of relationships sometimes get damaged. And then I think the fifth reason why partnerships don't make it is usually there's some type of misalignment of who believes in what. Like, what are the goals of the company? What are the things that you want to accomplish in the business? What are the, where are you trying to go with this, right? And so if all the partners aren't on the same page, then you have issues about how that actually works. So here's some things that I found that help partners to be in business, stay in business, and have a lasting partnership or relationship. The first one is communication. And this is something, again, that's important in all relationships. It's really important that you over communicate, right? So you have to over communicate your expectations, over communicate who's going to do what, over communicate who's going to be responsible for what, how are we going to handle this, how do we handle, and having a conversation with an attorney is one of those things that will help you to think of some what if scenarios that you wouldn't even think of, right? So you want to make sure that you have communication. The second thing is you got to have documentation. Remember I talked about the partnership agreement. It's so important that a partnership agreement is documented. You documented everything that you think of. And sometimes, and I want to also challenge you to know that the partnership agreement is a living document. So if things change as the business grows or whatever, you can always go back and add to, amend, or whatever. But again, you want to have the documentation. The third thing is you got to have a financial strategy. Who's going to contribute what to the business? At what point do you start withdrawing profits from the business? What's the percentage of those withdrawals? What's the frequency of those withdrawals? Can anybody just go take money out of the account? All of those kind of things, you want to make sure that you have a financial strategy. And then the last thing that you have to make sure that you have is some business acumen. So even if this is your first time running a business, it's going to be really important to make sure that you're spending time learning how to be a business owner, how to be a better business owner, or whatever it is in that industry, because partnerships tend to fail because people don't have the skills to run the business. So I hope that this information was helpful. Thank you so much for joining us tonight for our last 15 minutes of fire, and it's on a different day because I'm going to be at a conference tomorrow. So thanks so much for being here. We'll see you in the new year for our next set of 15 minutes of fire. All right, have a good one.